Watch this.
Welcome once again to my frame of mind. Yours truly here, DJ Knots. This episode is brought to you by, as always, Live Hip Hop Daily and Hip Hop Gets Back. And on this special episode, we are truly honored and really can't wait to get into it. Because we need to cover a lot of things. We need to settle a few scores, and set the record straight for sure. Glad to have the amazing brother, wealth of knowledge, always ready for the shits, Dave Anderson.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for taking time out.
Man, I wasn't going to miss this. Listen, I had to pull up. I haven't been here in 312 pounds. It's long overdue, and now Philly's thinner.
Yeah, like, listen, when you got to count it in pounds, you know it really matters. But let's get right to it. The show is called Frame of Mind. So initially, I want to ask you, what was your frame of mind when you heard VP Kamala Harris would be facing off against Donald J. Trump?
My frame of mind was, without anybody voting? I'm like, that's not, because here's the thing, right? I believe in calling a spade, right? Ian Van Zant says, call a thing. If you're going to say one person's a threat to democracy, what's less democratic than literally putting somebody in a position? This isn't like the President of the United States, God forbid, died. This isn't a situation where she's assuming the role of the president. She literally was appointed Democratic nominee. And when you do some research, and you can find this on CNN, MSNBC, any liberal news outlet, they'll tell you that the thing that was interesting was they said that if Harris wasn't on the ticket, all of those donations could not have been used. And there were about between 90 estimated, and I could be a little off on my math, but not by much, 90 to $120 million in donations that would not be released from donors if Biden was at the top of that ticket. So I think they looked at everything and said, let's just put her in there. And to me, if you want to talk about democracy, if that's really your thing, and I find that ironic in a constitutional republic that we're talking about democracy, because America has never been one. A threat to democracy is just appointing a candidate and telling everybody we love this person. And then the other thing that came to mind was, okay, this just got interesting because now, like Nikki Haley said, if Donald Trump doesn't drop out, whoever gets rid of their old person first is probably going to win. Right? And so now if Biden's out of the race, then the old person automatically becomes Donald Trump. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a situation where she doesn't have to do anything other than keep telling everybody she's not Donald Trump. You know, what can be unburdened by what has been. And I'm like, she's going to win some folks, but people are over it. Like, if this was 2008, you could have ran this play all day. But it's 2024, and I think people want a little bit more than lip service and, you know, a noun, a verb, and I'm here for you because I'm black.
Right. We definitely going to come back to that. But let's get to the other good part.
Sure.
What brings you to Atlanta?
I am promoting my new book with Master P. I was able to co-author a book with him. It's called Mastering Wealth Volume 1 Power. And it's about really understanding what it means to be an entrepreneur. My chapter is on domination. I feel, in my professional opinion and personally speaking, that most people, especially when they look like us, phone it in. They don't do everything they possibly can do. You'll hear a whole bunch of people, especially in this town, and this city has given me a whole lot. So when I say this, I'm coming with the utmost respect. Oh, I'm about to break $1 million. Yeah? Then why are you sleeping in till 11 o'clock? I'm about to break $1 million, but you don't post, you don't keep up, you don't do anything to stimulate your customer base. You only talk to them once a month when you got a sale. Like, if we're going to get there, we got to stop doing just enough and start dominating the situation. And we have this thing where we think because we're not famous enough that people won't care. And I'm like, Beyonce's fans don't care how many albums she drops without knowledge. They want it. If Beyonce says, listen, I need all y'all to dress in tinfoil and come get this cowboy work, you going to
We saw it.
Fuck a cable bill. We going to go see Beyonce, and you bet not come for her because we love country now. I'm like, so my whole thing is we're not doing enough to get to where we say we want to be. And I'm really big on holding people accountable to what they say they want. Because, you know, my work ethic's crazy, but I want you to at least own up to what it takes to get to where you say you want to be. And so this book brings together a ton of entrepreneurs. Think about it as chicken soup for the soul of black entrepreneurship.
Okay.
you know, and it's got a preview of Dr. George C. Fraser's new book, and so I'll be speaking at New Birth with him, Pastor Jamal Bryant, Master P, and a host of other wonderful people, and I'm extremely excited. This is my 22nd book. This is my first. Thank you. This is my first like compilation, collaborative type of book, collaborative book, and I'm excited about it. I'm like, okay, for 22, I can do a collaborative book. Why not? You know, listen, I'm speaking in New Birth, 7,500 people sold out.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm excited.
So speaking of collaboration, how did the collaboration between you and Master P happen?
Quite by accident. I had done a podcast, and there's people who are my so-called peers who will say, well, if this podcast doesn't have 100,000 downloads an episode, I'm not doing it. And then when people reach out to me, I'm like, yeah, no, I'll do your podcast. But we don't have a whole lot of listeners, and I don't care. Because to me, it's not about the venue. Everybody, Joe Rogan started with no listeners. Right. You don't know what's going to blow. Not to mention, I don't care what stage I'm on. I'm going to give somebody something that they can use. That's my job. My job is just give you the information. It's up to you to do something with it. Having said that, I did a podcast in Jersey, and my team is really good at editing my clips. And I talked about how jacked up the education system was. And the education system in America was made by Rockefeller. And it was in order to create a nation of workers and to take all the thinking, the creativity, the drive out of you in order for you to be cool with the humdrum job of having a factory gig. I had people calling me. My accountant called me. He was like, yo, congratulations, Dave. I said, what'd I do now? He said, yo, you don't know? I'm like, can you just get to the punchline? He was like, yo, Master P posted your joint. I said, I said, you bullshit. Because, you know, your friends will play with you. And I'm like, and I go, oh. So a couple of months later, I get a hit from his people like, yo, would you like to be, you know, in this book? Would you like to write a chapter in this book? And I was like, yeah, sure enough. Because sometimes you can have the best message and you're not quite yet the messenger. So if you happen to associate yourself with a bigger messenger, then your message becomes bigger. Yeah. And for me, I'm going to reach my people at all costs. I don't care what the platform is. I don't care who it is. I'm going to show up. And so being around P has been life-changing because he looks at things a completely different way. You know, and when I ask him questions, and the rare opportunities I get to ask him questions because the man is very busy, right. You know, I try to make those questions count. And, you know, I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about how his mind works in business. And there's certain things that he's literally changed my stance on just by me asking the right questions.
Anything that stands out that you can share?
There's two things. The first thing I asked him was, I know what's happening with, you know, I don't know if you know about what happened with him and like Walmart and other stores, right? They just put his stuff in the back. It's sitting on pallets. They're not putting it out. They're telling people it's sold out, so on and so forth. That's discrimination. I am such an entrepreneur. I'm a do-it-yourself guy. Like if there's a scale between Bill Gates and Dame Dash, I probably lean a little too hard into the Dame Dash side of the coin. But Master P was like, because I said to him, I said, P, you're Master P. Your phone it's got to have $2, $3, $4 billion worth of connects and relationships in it. Why not just start your own Walmart? Like, what you need them for? And he sat back. He was like, all right, listen, you're right. But all these big corporations know it would take me 20 years to get their level of traction. And that's me moving fast, right? That's one. So what they're doing isn't right. So we're going to handle that the way we're going to handle that. Number two, most people, if we're being honest, and he didn't name any names, but what he said was most people are scared. Just because I got you on the phone, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, just because I got you on the phone doesn't necessarily mean you're going to answer the call when it comes to these types of things. Because people don't want to shake up things. People want to keep their status quo and keep their little things where it is. You know, so that to me was huge. The other thing, as an entrepreneur, especially at a certain level now, I have a hard time understanding how certain people, it just seems like everything they do hits. And so I said, P, I remember I was DJing in like Fayetteville, North Carolina, and then I saw you on the South Park collaboration. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember that. Kenny's dead. We got to ride tonight. My little homie Kenny died tonight. And I was like, I'm like, how do you know what to say yes to? And he smiled at me. He was like, you don't know how many things I've said no to. You know, and that's the thing. A lot of times it's not even about saying yes. It's about saying no to the wrong things and saying yes to the things where there's opportunity. And that's like really poignant when you think about how we operate, because we want the Grand Slam home run today. We want to plant the seed and then pick the fruit this afternoon. We don't have any patience for the process. And there's a lot of stuff that we'll say yes to that doesn't mean us any good. And so, like, those are the two things that have really stuck out to me. But yeah, I was like, yo, man, hell, soon just beat them at their own game. And then I started to think about the infrastructure, the logistics, the amount of money, all that other stuff. And plus, it's just wrong. And I'm happy that he's willing to stand up for black entrepreneurs in such a way, because shelf space is a rare commodity. Oh, yeah. And so it's, when somebody knows more than I do, I ain't the one doing all this talking. You understand? So I'm a student as much as I am a teacher, you know, and you need that. You need mentors, and I got coaches and mentors in this, that, and the third, but to be able to share space with him, it has been, you know, definitely life affirming, and I'm definitely going to say life changing, because it's better than I thought it was going to be. You know how you hear people and they say, if I just get with Master P, it's going to be that. Better. Better. And I ain't talking money. Yeah. I'm talking about the wealth of experience, learning from mistakes, understanding how things go, and just being able to observe somebody do something whose trajectory you've watched. You know, because listen, I started in music and entertainment. I know we're gonna get there, but you know, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? I'm retired from the game. Yeah. You know, this is my game now. You know, and to watch somebody make those pivots. First time I ever met him, backstage in the radio room at the Grammys. And I said, you don't know how excited I am to meet you. He said, why? I said, it's not for the reason you think.
I don't want a deal.
I said, listen, I don't rap no more. He said, no more? I said, yeah. I said, it's one of the things I love about you. He said, what? I'm like, you're not rapping. You got your son, you got your daughter, you know, you focusing on your family, you're doing all these entrepreneurial things. And even then, this is way before I retired. I was probably 2 years before I retired from, you know, the industry. I said, it makes me realize that there's something more. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody can rap. It's a bunch of rappers, but not everybody can do this business thing. And he was like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if you had told me then that I'd be here with him now, I'd have been like, okay, bro.
Right.
All right.
Well, I'm just glad to hear he gave you a better answer than Kanye gave Sway, because you basically asked the same question just in a different way.
How, Sway?
Exactly.
You ain't been doing the education.
I'm just saying, you know, Sway was just like, yo, I'm just asking. Yo,
I mean, I have on a smaller scale. Why can't you just do it yourself? But
so,
you know, in Kanye's defense, he did come back and admit that Sway did in fact have the answers.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he doubled back, so I was happy to see that. Yeah. But no, that's dope. So many things in just that one response. Let's talk about the music and entertainment.
Sure.
Where you got your start at and where that the precursor was to what you're doing now.
Wow. I started in radio at 9 years old.
Explain that.
Everybody says that, but y'all don't bat an eye at the Olsen twins. Y'all don't bat an eye at Emmanuel Lewis. You don't bat an eye at Gary Coleman. You know, like, y'all ain't bat an eye at B2K, but you know, Dave Anderson at 9 years old being okay, yeah, it's a big deal. I'm not gonna act like it's not. You know, but it's so commonplace now. To me, I didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't trying to be no trendsetter or no record breaker or nothing like that. I called into a radio show. Curly Neal from the Harlem Globetrotters was on the show. I remember the trick he hadn't done in like 6 years. He was like, how old are you? I said 9. He was like, so you were 3 years old when you started? I was like, yeah. I was like, my dad took me and my brother to see the Harlem Globetrotters. And I was excited because I just saw y'all on Scooby-Doo. And I was like, I want to see Curly Neal. And so he says, y'all need to hire that kid. And I ain't think nothing. I just ha funny. You're cute. I get you're a cute precocious kid a lot. You know, when I was a youngster, and so 2 days later, and I was grounded. I wasn't even supposed to be on the phone. I was on punishment. So my mom gets the call. She like, hello? Yeah, no, this is Dave Anderson's mom. You want what? Sign what? On the radio. Called in. Well, that sounds wonderful. I'll call you back. So after the swelling in my ass went down, you know, I worked at a show called Kids Corner. Kids Corner led to a show called Candid Kids Club, which was on CBS Saturday mornings. You know, nationally syndicated show, which was dope. And then my mom saw a article in the paper, or she heard it on the radio station in Philly, that Teddy Pendergrass was looking for singers. And she was like, well, you can sing. Go sing for Teddy. I was like, Teddy Pendergrass don't want my roly-poly Coke bottle glass. Like, I'm not the cool. Like, I ain't Boys to Men. Like, I ain't going. Nah. And yeah, so next thing you know, I'm off with Teddy Pendergrass and, you know, doing everything. Like, I'm the youngest person to re-record The Twist with Chubby Checker. I sang backgrounds for Gerald and Sean Levert. Like, there were so many other things that came from that. City High came from Teddy Pendergrass, believe it or not. Rob Parlow, shout out to my man Robbie. I ain't seen Robbie in a minute, but Robbie Parlow came from there. Reese came from there. Like, there was a few of us that really made a run at it. And, you know, when that folded, I went to college, and then I started saying, you know what, I'm done doing the kid stuff. I'm a grown man now. You know, you turn 18, you start smelling yourself. Yeah. And so I went to Radio 1. And, you know, Radio 1, I was an intern, and then 6 months later, I was the associate producer of the morning show. And so I started working. I make music, all that kind of good stuff. And I've lived in 19 states, traveling up and down the dial. I'm one of the founding members of the largest DJ organization in the world, the Core DJs. Shout out to T. Neal. And I remember when Tony started the Core DJs, everybody's like, well, why are you gonna do that? It's already technicians, it's big dog, pit bulls. It's like, where they at though? Core's still here. Yeah. The Core is still here, and we still strong. Yeah, I mean,
Summit is next month here in Atlanta.
Sure is. Yeah, I'm retired. I might go because I still get the emails. I might just pop up. Like, but I've been trying to stay home whenever I can because I'm on the road a lot, speaking engagements, you know, interview stuff like that. You know, I got a family now. I can't. But boy, back in them days, them retreats, woo!
You should. I mean, if you can, if it makes sense, I understand.
Sure.
I definitely understand the family part, but
sure.
It is, I think, because I already registered, so it's like the 23rd through the 26th of November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think
but
that's right.
Yeah. I'm sure. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. It was me, Tony Neal, Cristal Bublin, Big Tigger. Trying to think because I know there's 2 others, but it was like 6 of us. Wow. Yeah, and then a lot of them technicians came over to the Core. A lot of them big dog pit bulls came over to the Core. Sometimes that happens, man. You know what I mean? You look at groups and whatnot. They break up, whatever. And the Primes come into the Temptations. The Coasters break up. One of them becomes a Temptation. Like, it's just what it is. But we're the last group standing. And I say we because I'm never not going to be a Core DJ.
Yeah.
You know
Once
what I'm saying?
you in, I feel that.
Yeah, no.
I dig that. So you were saying you're a family man now. Mm-hmm. How many kids?
2, and they both think they're growner than me. 25 and 9.
Sure, they may be. You know,
listen,
those are precocious ages. So
listen, my youngest daughter, I think she's going to be the one to take over the business when I pass. I had group coaching calls, and so every once in a while she'd come in the office, and one day she come in the office like, Daddy, what you doing? And I would tell her because she was a little bugger, like 4 or 5 years old. I said, I'm talking to the people. That would keep it simple for her. And she was like, oh. She was like, you talking to your people? I said, yeah. She jumps into the office, hops on my lap. She said, no, Daddy, I got this. These are my people. She says, hi, I'm Devlin Anderson. I'm the next business bully. So what do we got? And I was like, oh. It's weird when you see a piece of you do you. It's like, you know, but my kids are great, man. They're wonderful. They have a beautiful, wonderful mother. And she works hard. Like Dev, we found out she's been diagnosed with autism, you know, because she's like brilliant, super smart. You know, but you got those little things, and so we're learning how to navigate. Like, we've raised one child to adulthood, now we're navigating in a completely different experience, raising a child on the autism spectrum. So we homeschool her. Okay. You know, and I'm blessed that I'm in a position to be able to have my wife homeschool our baby, because a lot of people can't afford it. Yeah. You know, and I hope that's one of those things that changes soon, because people, especially our people, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's a good idea in one breath to say that you're oppressed by the man, but then have the man's government indoctrinate your children.
No, I'm not going to argue with that at all, because I definitely agree.
You're either oppressed or you are sending your children to learn from your oppressor. Right. I don't understand how that works out, but I mean, I get it. You got to do what you got to do. I'm not judging, but
it's a lot for our people, especially actually new and older parents who've done it before.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a part of that indoctrinated system,
Sure.
how are you going to find the time to say, I'm going to break away? You know what I mean? Like, what was it for you for you guys that said, no, we're not doing this?
She had a horrible experience with her first grade teacher, who we thought was going to be phenomenal, because her kindergarten teacher, who was wonderful, she was patient, she was kind, she was like, she loved on my child. Like, I don't know if you have children.
I have one daughter, 22.
22. You know how like your kids are born in this world and they have this light inside of them, and after a while society just chips away at it. I'm not going to have a little black girl with my bloodline walking around getting their light diminished because somebody's having a bad day and has absolutely no business, I don't care what your teaching certificate says, teaching young children. And she was mean, and she wasn't nice, and she wasn't patient, and we didn't know. We didn't find out. Like, we just got the official diagnosis this year, and we went like all over, Center for Autism, and stuff, like all the tests. So we didn't know. So if you'd already come into a school situation with children who are first graders, and kids are rambunctious,
Right.
if you don't have any patience for that, you're not going to be anywhere around my child. So I yanked her out. I said, we're going to figure this out, because immediately no. But again, I'm also the nephew, grandson, son, stepson, father of teachers. So my experience is a little bit different. I'm not saying just pull your kid out of school and go for what you know. You know, because you got to tell people, because, you know, I can see them, I can't do that. I got to work. Granted, my situation's a little different, but I thank God for that, you know. But yeah, there was no way I'm going to have her light diminished. I'm not going to have them tell me that she's a behavior problem when she processes information differently.
Right.
You know, so yeah, no, I will die to make sure my family is safe at all costs.
Yeah, I love that y'all found out when y'all did.
Yeah.
That's such a big difference.
Yeah, no, it makes all the difference, because she's thriving. She's doing 4th and 5th grade concurrently.
She's 9?
9.
Jeez.
No.
Just
listen.
right atmosphere, like you were saying, right environment.
When you don't have to compete with 32 other people for attention, when you can take as much time or as little time as you need, when you can get breaks, because think about how school is set up. You're sitting there, you got to raise your hand in order to have a thought. I'm like, babe, what are you raising your hand for? Honey, you're home.
Right.
That's your mother. I'm daddy. Like, what are we doing? Well, can we go to the playground? Sure, we can. We'll start school at 1. Right. Or, you know, we won't do school today. We'll unschool. We'll talk about leaf patterns. We'll look at, you know, cumulus and nimbus clouds. Like, there's a lesson in living. Yeah. And I think we miss out on that because of this indoctrination.
So what would your advice be to other parents? Because it sounds like you need to do a hot seat for parents, but we'll get to the hot seat stuff in a second.
Yeah.
You know, so, because when I tell people stuff, it's always, oh, you're not even with your mother, and this is when I used to give advice on what I was doing with our daughter, but, you know, like, well, y'all not even together, and I was like, that's nothing to do with.
What does that matter? You made a child in love. The child is cared for.
Right.
You both love the child. You're both involved in the child's life.
Yes.
But again, see, people got to find something. Mm-hmm. And even with that, like, and I used to your point, I'm going to answer your question, but I got to take a quick little shortcut. I'm of, let's just say, above average intelligence, according to whatever you want to believe. I work for myself. I'm married to a black woman. I have black ass children. You know what I'm saying? I got locks. I love my people. I love my culture. And even with all of that, they still gonna find something to say. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I don't want you to take that to heart. But what I would say to parents is, your child will, no matter what you do as a parent, as much as we like to keep kids in a bubble, there's a world out here that's waiting to kick their ass. So with any child, but I can only speak to daughters because I don't have sons. I mentor a lot of young men, but I don't have any sons biologically. With being a father to a daughter, 2 of them, I tell people there's only 2 places your child's going to end up. It's either the pole or the couch. Your job is to aim for the couch. And the couch means they're in therapy behind whatever you fell short on doing for them. But I'd rather you be on the couch than be on that pole. And as long as I got breath in my lungs, and long after I'm dead, you will not have to be on the pole. You know. The other thing is, what works for you is going to work for you. Being a parent is like playing spades. You got to sit down and make up your own rules. You got to figure out how you want to play this game and what adjustments you need to make. You know, the other part of that is if one of you can get free, or you can amass enough money to bring somebody in to tutor your child, there's nothing wrong. Most states, if I'm not mistaken, don't have an issue with you homeschooling. Like, our curriculum is approved by the school district of Philadelphia where we live. So it's worth it because that light is now bright as it's ever been in my child. And I will tell you, there's nothing I wouldn't pay for that. You got no problem finding money for a vacation. You got no problem finding money to go to this particular party, not a Diddy party, not no more. But you find money to do the most frivolous shit. This is your child. This is your blood. This is your legacy. Find the money. If you're not happy with the school situation your child's in, make a move. That's what I tell anybody about damn near anything. Make a move. You don't like something, do something about it. Yeah. You know?
It kind of reminds me of what you were saying earlier about domination, which I wanted to talk about as well. It's such a powerful word. Actually, it's more than words. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Why is it so key for entrepreneurs to move like that?
Okay, so let's say you're a clothing designer, right? And let's say you've got a clothing brand. You're just setting yourself up to get your ass kicked because you got to deal with Polo. You got to deal with all of these different brands. You got to, even if you're just dealing with Fashion Nova, all the fashions, right? Not only are you competing with them, but you're also competing with Walmart. You're competing with Target. You're competing with Big Lots. You're competing with absolutely everybody with an Etsy store and a t-shirt press. So how are you going to dominate your corner of a multi-billion-dollar annual industry? You've got to find a way to go above and beyond. You've got to overserve your customer base. You've got to find out what they want. We get to this thing in entrepreneurship where I call it the entrepreneur ego, where we think that, oh, okay, I know what they want, so I'm going to just give it to them. And then when it doesn't sell, you're like, well, I knew they wanted this. Why ain't it sell? Because you never asked. You just assumed. And we all know what assumptions get us. Yep. So for me, domination means that you're a cut above. Right? It doesn't mean that you're the only cut above. Tesla exists in a world where Maybach is. You know, for some people it's an Escalade. Whatever your particular, all of these quote unquote cars that people want to have for whatever reason, they all coexist. You can dominate in your lane, and your lane can be the same as somebody else's lane. Y'all could still be running parallel, and that's okay. I'm not saying you need to be the only one, but you need to be in the conversation. There's an argument to be made whether Nas is the greatest, whether Jay-Z is the greatest, whether it's Big, Tupac, Big L, Big Pun. But notice they're all in the conversation. Is Petey Pablo in that conversation?
Not last time I checked.
That be in the conversation. What are you doing or not doing to make sure that you're meeting your customers' needs and standing out in a culture where everything is being bombarded at your customer base, and attention is the most important asset you have. You got to find a way to stand out, and then once you stand out, you got to hit them in the head with value. You got to hit them in the head with something different. You got to make it so dynamic and so exciting that they want to be a part of it, and they want to feel like they have some ownership in it. We don't do that, and that applies to damn near every business. Every business that's successful, people feel they have an ownership in it. Even Target. Hey, I'm going on a Target run. Like, if you think about it, this is the most brilliant shit I've ever seen in my life. Target has gotten us to a place where we're working for Target and we don't even realize we're working for Target. Yeah. We got the Target app, we're clipping coupons on that bad boy. We get our clothes, we get our groceries, we get our knickknacks, we get our electronics. I get my cleaning products from there. And you know what I do after that? I go and then I act like I am a person that's wearing really uncomfortable cotton Dockers and an ill-fitted red polo shirt, and I start checking out my own shit. Wait, what? Bro, no.
You gotta bring this up.
Like I get mad if I don't find somebody to ring my stuff up. Like, hey.
You know, Target, even with the coupons, is already still not a coupon deal.
It really ain't, because listen, I knew someone once who worked at Target, and on her first day of orientation, the supervisor says, "Do you know the difference between us and Walmart?" She said, "No." She said, "Well, the difference between us and Walmart is you're not going to see our clothes thrown all over the floor. There's no people of Target." And I was like, "Ooh, I'm like, they like the Bloods and Crips. Notice everything is always red versus blue.
Yeah. On purpose and done with intention. That's it. But just that lexicon alone, and we can get off the target, but just saying I'm going on a Target run.
Right.
It's like saying I'm going to spend money.
Yes,
you know
exactly
what I mean?
what
And I'm comfortable with doing it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I do my best not to. I do my best not to go out with my wife to Target. Simply because you could be going in there just to go to the Starbucks inside the Target. You ain't coming out of there for less than $200.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And I mean, no, $200 is not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money. When you're just going in there for a latte, I'm busy. Hell, he was like, yeah, no. We ain't got time to be stopping because, she be hitting me with the Columbo. Just one more thing. Like,
it's never just one more thing.
It's never. It's never.
I've never been married, and I know it's never just one thing.
Yet another man in here who's smarter than me.
Is it?
No. I'm kidding.
It just sounds expensive listening to both of y'all. It is.
Listen, family's expensive. My daughter cost me $186,383.63 in tuition, room, board, and fees for Howard University out of state. So, cash. Damn. Yeah, hard. Yeah, do you know what I could have done? I could have bought a house. I mean, put a down payment on a nice
Down
one.
payment now in Philly.
Oh no, I wasn't going. No, I was gonna move back to the south like I got some sense.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because even now, but like I said, with so much of a changing dynamic, changing landscape that we've been dealing with now, just in the last 20 years.
Sure.
Not just from the schools that our kids want to go to, and where our dollars don't go as far as they need to.
Right.
How? Because I've seen pieces of you in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Breaking down to people like, yo, you need to do this, this, and this, because what you're doing right now is not going to get you where you need to go.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So it's like you're already doing the foot on neck thing. That's why I always respect people who actually carry out the hot seat stuff.
Yeah.
Like David Shands, he's another one.
Shout out to Shands.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's people like that when y'all can really hold people to the fire in that small amount of time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And really change their trajectory on what they're doing.
Certainly.
Like, when did you recognize, like, yo, I need to do this?
I recognized it, but I didn't act on it right away. When I was still in radio, they would send me out with the salespeople to help them close deals. And I'm like, I don't even like sales. The idea of sales to me was, I want you to just pay me my money. I had a worker's mindset. Y'all got to forgive me. This old Dave Anderson, I killed that dude. But I started to realize that most salespeople weren't creative. And most human beings just aren't creative. They just want to do the one thing they want to do, and they don't realize that you still have to market it. It doesn't matter that it's the best. If you're serving it up on, like, Wolfgang Puck once made sandwiches for me, right? I'm in LA, and he's like, oh, because I'm doing an interview. He was like, yo, Justin Timberlake likes these sandwiches. This is what I made Jay-Z and Beyonce. So Spago, he's making all this stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, this food is so dope. But then my brain starts to go, nobody would eat this food if you served it on a dirty, used trash can lid. But that's what we do. We put our beautiful businesses in presentations that are hot garbage. And we don't understand why it's not working. And every time I do these hot seats with folks, and I've been doing hot seats, 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been at it for a very, very long time. The hot seat is not an original concept. Tony Robbins had done it. Zig has done it. Like, a lot of people have done hot seats. It's a sales and marketing technique.
Right.
But the thing of it is, I started to realize that people don't want to do the things that will make them successful because those things aren't sexy. Those things aren't comfortable. Those things are boring. You can't post up, hey man, you know what? I just wrote this dope 5-day email sequence that's just going to revolutionize, these curtain rod hangers I'm selling. Like, the unsexy stuff is where you make the money, right? The other part of that is people just have been sold a bill of goods of utter BS when it comes to what actually it takes to be successful. It's like, oh, you just start the business because I'm a substitute teacher, and now all of a sudden, I'm telling everybody how to be an entrepreneur. Whoa, homeboy. That's not how I don't give a damn how many silk pajamas you have. Right. It ain't going. I don't care how many. Listen, I don't care how many of these hoe guns you got. I didn't use the whole gun or two in my day. I'm not gonna lie to you, but never as an entrepreneur. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter how many of these you have. There's still things that have to be done, and in order for you to get to the fun, you got to handle the fundamentals. Right. And most people fail on the fundamentals. If you watch my hot seats, it's very rarely the big shit. It's always the small stuff. It's always well, how often are you reaching out to your email? Well, once a month. And then I hit them with, well, how often do you wash your ass? And they're like, what does that have to do with it? No. Answer the question. How often do you wash your ass? Every day, twice a day. So you wash your ass twice a day. Why? Didn't you wash once? Wasn't that enough? Well, if you don't keep washing your ass, you're going to stink. Well, if you don't stay top of their mind, they're going to find somebody who's paying them attention. Well, I don't want to bother people. McDonald's has, in a 24-hour period, somewhere about 32,000 ads someplace. Amazon is now the biggest advertiser because they're advertising something, whether it's Prime, whether it's Lord of the Rings, whether it's Citadel, whatever they got. You know, the fact that they acquired MGM, they're advertising something. Hundreds of thousands of ads per day, all throughout the world. But you, with your little Etsy shop having ads, and I'm not shitting on people who have Etsy shops, but I'm trying to give you a scale, are afraid that you're going to burn out your audience and bother them. See, everybody, all these gurus, they start talking about, you got to attract the right people, you got to attract the right people, you got to attract the right... Sure. When you get married, you've attracted the right person. You know what else that means? That you repelled 4.3 million other women. I'm sorry, 4.3 billion other women. If you're going to attract, you got to spend as much time at repelling. I don't want people who don't want to be my client, because I come with accountability. I come with work. I'm not selling sexy shit. I'm not sitting down with Shaq. I'm not going to put up a big ass check, you know, from Diddy. No Diddy. In order to impress you. Right. I'm going to impress upon you the virtues of fundamentals. We're going to build a foundation, because I know people right now who are extremely talented, much more talented than I am, and I can say that. Like, no, I have no problem giving it up to you. You're extremely talented. The problem is you're building the Taj Mahal on quicksand, so it's just going to come crashing down. And that's what we miss. And so when I do those hot seats, it's about really making you face what you've been doing. And that's why it's not working, because if it was working, why are you jumping the hot seat? You got the answers. You came to me. See, that's the thing. Bro, you watch horror movies?
Rarely.
You know what my favorite horror movie character is?
Who's that?
Candyman.
Why's that?
Because unlike Freddy Krueger, unlike Michael Myers, unlike Jason Voorhees, unlike Chucky, Candyman don't show up until you put his name in your mouth repeatedly. When you come for me, you're going to be my victim. That's it. And that's what it is. I don't go out looking for you to be my victim. You volunteered. So now you're going to get this work. And this work comes with, I don't care what your friends tell you. I don't care what your man say. I don't care what your homeboys at the barbershop say. If I'm telling you it's trash, and we need to make some changes. But the difference is, I'm not just telling you it's trash, I'm telling you how to make it into treasure. That's the other part, because, you know, the Negroes in the comments go, well, what's the solution? You know, the solution is doing the things you're not doing. The solution you're looking for is always on the other side of the tedious things that you don't want to do. I'm not a big believer in if you work hard, you'll make it, because I know plenty of hardworking broke people. But I am really big on making sure you're developing a system that reaches out to the people who need what it is that you have to have. And are you solving a problem with the product or service that you have to present in the marketplace? If not, you're doing it for ego.
That's a bar. That's a deeper level to it too. What are you feeding with that ego?
You're feeding your need to be important. You're feeding the whole, look at me, give me some likes, because that's hitting my dopamine receptors, because I don't have the balls to do cocaine, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get my high off of you telling me I'm great when I'm really mediocre at best, because I won't go all the way in. I'll just dip my toe in it. I'll mess with it. I'm gonna treat it like a side hustle and not my main thing, and that's where it gets ugly. That's where that masterclass and fail starts happening. So, yeah, no, like, to me, your ego will always be your undoing. I don't think I'm the best. because I'm not dead yet. You know, I'll be the best when I'm gone. You know what I mean? Picasso couldn't sell nothing when he was alive. Now, different story. You think all these white people was talking about Bob Marley when Bob Marley was alive? Not like they do now. Boy, they use Bob Marley as a reason to smoke all the weed, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. A lot of times people don't appreciate people when they're here. And like I've had to come to terms with the fact that, you know, I'm not really doing this for likes or shares or even recognition. You know, I'm not Roman Reigns. I'm not like acknowledge me. It would be nice if you did, right. But I'm not. I'm done looking for that. I'm at a point at almost 50 years old where I don't believe my applause that much, and I damn sure don't believe my boos that much, which allows me to have a certain level of objectivity. Not perfect, but a certain level of
that. I was actually going to ask that. How do you believe anybody, what anyone says to you when they're paying you compliments? Oh, this is great. This is groundbreaking. You changed my life, and then they may have some success, but they still didn't get to where you know they could have gotten to. Like, how do you take it when you meet so many people like that? Because I know they tell you on a daily, regular basis.
Sure.
You know?
Listen, I've worked with people who, you know, have wound up becoming New York Times best-selling authors, who have had hit shows, whatever the case may be. I've had to learn, there's a movie called Talk to Me with Chiwetel Ejiofor and Don Cheadle.
Great.
And it talks about Dewey Hughes. Everybody focuses on Kathy Hughes, but people don't realize that Dewey Hughes was a beast. Yeah. Dewey Hughes' Achilles heel used to be my Achilles heel, and I didn't realize it until I watched that movie. You can't want something for somebody more than they want it for themselves. I can have a vision for you. Yo, you mind passing me that bottle, because I'm about to go in. Appreciate you. My Uncle Ozzy, God rest his soul, will be proud of me right now.
What, drinking it straight?
Yeah. Pour one out for Uncle Ozzy, God rest his soul. But no, he really wanted to be that guy. He really wanted, you know, he wanted Petey Green to be that guy. He saw somebody who had raw talent, but he didn't have the desire to do that. He just wanted to eat watermelon and talk his trash and go about his day. He didn't want to be on with Johnny Carson. That wasn't his thing. I've had to come to terms with my vision, and this is in no way saying that I am the end-all be-all to anything, but a lot of times, and I've got thousands of hot seat clips that'll prove that the vision I have for people is usually bigger than the vision they have for themselves, right? It's one of the reasons I got into coaching, because you can't see the picture clearly when you're in the frame. And when I saw that movie, I realized that you can want it for somebody, but if they don't want it for themselves, there's nothing they can do. I worked with an athlete one time who I thought was brilliant, and I thought didn't really get his just due when he was an active athlete. Man has since retired. And, you know, I wanted to do all these things that he said he wanted to do, because I've learned over time that you shouldn't do more than what people say they want to do. But when you give me something that you want to do, I'm going to find a way to make it happen. Well, he did. And I went and got him a $100,000 deal for a tour to do what it was that he wanted to do. And I think it spooked him, because nobody had ever done that. And he kind of was like, oh. See? Everybody ain't ready for prime time. It's okay, but I've had to, I'm like, hey, listen, if that's what if all he wants to do are the things that he's doing that makes him happy, even though I think it's bush league for somebody of his talents, that's not my monkey. It's not my circus. I'm cool if you're cool. I want what you want. If you're happy only making $200,000 a year, God bless you. If you're happy making $60,000 a year, God bless you. You know, I can see how I can get you to 250. I can see how I can get you to $1 million. But what does it matter if it's not going to bring you joy? Right. It's not about me. It's about I did my job for you. You know? And then there's the other side of that. There's people who will never listen no matter what you tell them. Right. You know? So I've gotten myself to a point where, did I do what I was supposed to do? The answer is yes. I'm good. And the answer is almost always yes. Because I like to sleep well at night.
Yeah, that's what matters most. What's the point of doing all this work if you can't do that? What are your thoughts on, let me frame this the right way.
Take your time.
I talk to a lot of younger people,
Mm-hmm.
age range 24 to 35.
Sure.
One of the biggest things that they tell me and ask me questions about, from DJing to business to understanding themselves,
Mm-hmm.
they all say they deal with some level of imposter syndrome.
Certainly.
Did you ever have to deal with that?
I still do.
Really?
Do you know, like, I'll be out someplace, right? Like, I'll never forget, I was at a Walmart just grabbing some knickknacks, me and the family, and this guy comes running up, like, yo, you Dave Anderson? So automatically, my Kempo and my Krav Maga kick in. I'm like,
What's up?
you know what I mean? So I got my Arthur fist locked and cocked on the side, and I'm like, yeah, family firmly behind me. Yeah. He was like, man, I just wanted to give you a hug and shake your hand, man. You changed my life. I watched all your videos. I got all your books, man. Like, thank you, man. Like, for me, I'm happy that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Do you know how many billions of people throughout the history of the world don't listen to that call that God puts on their heart? And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to turn into Jamal Bryant on nobody.
No, you should go for it. Shoot.
You know, but there's something inside of you that is telling you that you don't need to be here. You need to be something. You need to be doing this thing. And what I found in my life is that God is going to find a way to do what he needs to do through you or around you, right? He's going to do it with or without you. Even if you look in Exodus, Joshua wasn't supposed to take the Hebrews to the promised land. Moses was. Moses was disobedient. So he died on the side of the mountain. He saw the promised land, but he didn't enter. So at that point, Joshua stepped up, because guess what? God's will is going to be done with or without you. So for me, I listen to that voice at all costs, because when I got to the point where it's like, I'm going to retire, I was like, why would I couldn't wrap my mind around, but I just got tired. I got tired of, just doing, interviews with celebrities. I got tired of sitting in meetings talking about, which records we're adding and which record reps coming to town. We got to go to Roost Chris for the 1,000th, millionth, 11th time. I wanted something else. I didn't know what that something else was, but I knew, like, my run in entertainment was over. And what if I had stayed? Do you know how many people wouldn't have? And again, this isn't ego. This is just me talking from a strictly, analytical place. How many people would not have that push that I was supposed to give them? A lot of times we think our lives are for us. I'm not living this life for me. I'm living this life for y'all. I'm living this life for my children. I'm living this life for my last name. I'm living this life in order to impact this world so that it's better when I leave it than when I got here. And the only way to do that is to listen to that still small voice. It's like, yo, this ain't it. You shouldn't be here. It's time to go home. Yo, tell them that they're dope. Tell them that you appreciate them. Yo, call such and such you ain't talked to in 6 months and just tell them you love them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really obedient to that. But yeah, man.
Yeah. It was that discipline. Yeah, that's super strong.
Yeah, man.
H, one more. Yeah. Where we need to go?
Let's get into it, because it's about to be the voting shit.
All right, the voting shit.
Good time.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. Any particular angle you want to start with? Because I know it's gonna. Jeez.
We can go.
You know where I'd like to start?
Yeah.
The young lady, and forgive me for getting her name. Trump's bestie.
Michaela Montgomery?
Yes.
Love Michaela.
Yes. I was watching parts of the interview that you guys did.
Yeah.
And I didn't get too far deep into it, but I noticed some things right away.
Sure.
When you guys first started, how quickly she put the focus on things that could actually help black people, instead of saying, this is why y'all should agree with me and vote Republican or whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's out here versus what's not being presented. And I thought that was really interesting, because it could have been very easy for her to be like, well, no, y'all just don't understand what you should be doing. You should be tired of voting for Democrats because they ain't done nothing for us, which may or may not be true.
Certainly.
But go ahead.
Everybody, I don't care where you are in the world, I don't care if you're in Atlanta or Sheboygan, everybody listens to the same radio station. It's called WIIFM. It plays 24/7 on your FM dial. What's in it for me? We live in a constitutional republic, which has a representative government. People are here to represent us because it's hard to listen to 330 million people to get them to agree on it. You can't get 4 people at a spades game to agree on something.
Right.
How you do that with 340 million people? You can't. So you have representatives who are elected by the people to do that. The problem with black people specifically, and when I say this, I'm not in any way negating my blackness because I'm black as shit. What I am saying to you is black people by and large vote one way almost all the time. And as a result of them voting one way almost all the time, there's a system of benign neglect and also a system of expectancy from one particular party. And then from the other party, it's like, yeah, we'll reach out to you, but you ain't really messing with us. So why am I going to waste a whole lot of time when I got all these other people on my roster who want to rock with me? So why not focus on what can be done based on these things that you actually care about? Do you want the government to tell you how many guns you can have?
No.
Do you want the government to tell you how to raise your babies?
Nope.
Do you want your government, you have a daughter,
Yes.
right? I've got 2. You feel comfortable if your daughter was still underage and was participating in sports and had to share a locker room with a biological man who just automatically woke up one day and said that he feels like a woman?
No.
Because that worked for Shania Twain, but wait, Shania Twain's an actual woman. You know, are you tired of taking your money that you spend taxes what did Chris Rock say? That you don't pay taxes, they take taxes. Are you tired of people just taking your money and giving it to Ukraine but not giving it to your people? You got a veteran in your family?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how jacked up the VA is?
Oh, I have a very good idea. Yeah. Not personally, but yeah, very close. Yeah.
When people think that they can lose you, they start getting some act right. People have taken us for granted to the point where you got former presidents coming around trying to chastise black men because we're not voting a particular way by and large, allegedly.
That allegedly is kind of strong, but keep going. The reason why I said that. Mecca, what up? Oh, the reason why I say that is because the way they're framing that was he wasn't talking to all black men, just the black men who were finding different reasons not to support Kamala, and it was really rooted in her. They didn't want a woman leader.
Okay. Here's where I am, right? I deal in facts. I don't deal in emotions. You'll very rarely hear me, unless I'm talking about my family, you'll very rarely, not ever, but rarely hear me say, well, I feel. Let's deal with facts. One day on Jimmy Kimmel, he pulled up an actual chart and said that Kamala Harris is the lowest polling vice president in modern recorded history. Jimmy Kimmel. We ain't talking about, somebody on Fox News. We talking about Jimmy effing Kimmel. He's liberal as hell. You had CNN say that Kamala Harris was the worst decision Joe Biden made. Am I lying?
No, but let me see, and I don't want to make it a.
No, I'm not, because this isn't just about because I got smoke for Trump too, but we're staying.
Okay, let's stay focused. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. My thing is, you appoint somebody in a position that they did not earn and nobody elected for, and you let them rock. And the other part of that is, you say in one breath that y'all really want this and you really want to make this happen, but history tells me something different. Because unlike most people, I actually donated to the original Harris campaign, the one before she dropped out. Do you know why she dropped out before Iowa?
No.
Because she didn't get enough donor money. So where was all the ski-wee and perm? Where was all the pearls and chucks? Where was the Divine Nine and where was the greens in the bathtub then? Where were all the black people who really wanted a black woman president? Where were y'all?